Hey guys, and thanks again for joining. My name is Derek. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the news story that surfaced yesterday about Todd and Julie Chrisley, who were the stars of a television series named Chrisley Knows Best, have recently been indicted on tax evasion and fraud charges. So we'll talk about the numerology of this video. We'll look at the date on which it was released and how it relates to the date on which their show first aired, as well as their birthdays. And we'll also take a look at the language of Gematria, or the ancient practice of coding numbers into words. This mystical language originating in Greek and Hebrew, but is certainly well and alive in today's English alphabet. Now, I will start this video off by saying, if you're not terribly familiar with my work, this is probably not the best video for you to start watching, as we will discuss a lot of different numbers, and it's going to be difficult to see how some of them relate initially. However, for those of you who understand what's going on with the mainstream media and how they code their news stories, you probably understand by now that we've essentially cracked the code they're using to come up with these things. And it all comes down to the eclipse crucifixion code. In the New Testament, in 3 of the 4 Gospels, it's believed that darkness fell over the sky while Jesus was being crucified, and a lot of historians believe this was a solar eclipse. So, as a result, what we're seeing is the fall of celebrities, often having to do with this crucifixion code. Of course, this also applies to the death of celebrities, but even when they're in the news for negative reasons, there's almost always a crucifixion code very clearly lying underneath. So if you want to better understand this code and how it applies to the news, then by all means continue watching this video. So this story surfaced on the 13th of August, the date written 1308 internationally. And you'll see here that in Sumerian Gematria, the alphabetic order times 6, Todd and Julie Chrisley have a value of 1308. And the first part of this riddle lies directly in their names. Of course, when we're talking about the crucifixion, we're talking about Jesus Christ. And in this story, we're talking about the Chrisley family. And maybe it is pronounced Chrisley, which would be even better. But already you see that there's a little nod to the crucifixion code right there. Now, these two were indicted on charges yesterday. And notice yesterday's life lesson number of 33. 8 plus 13 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9. Using the alphabetic order, where each letter is assigned a numeric value, 1 through 26, relative to its position in the alphabet, the phrase crucifixion of Jesus Christ sums to 303. Now, since zeros are ignored in the results here, this represents the number 33. The word eclipse, which Jesus is said to be crucified under at the age of 33, also has a numeric value of 33. This date also had reduced numerology of 24. Notice how crucifixion of Jesus Christ, summing to 2040 in Jewish or Latin Gematria, a cipher that produces much larger numbers than the standard alphabetic order. So real quick, let's pull up Julie Chrisley's celebrity page. And here we get her birthday, January 9th, 1973. However, what you need to understand is that a big part of this has to do with the state that the Chrisleys are from. Notice she was born in the state of South Carolina. Back in 2017, we had the Great American Total Solar Eclipse. This was the first total eclipse that crossed from coast to coast in the United States since 1908. And you'll see that the path of this eclipse ended in the state of South Carolina. Oh, forgive me again, I didn't have the path ready here. As you'll see, it exits in the state of South Carolina. In Gematria, South Carolina sums to 156 and 57. In Hebrew Gematria, 156 and 57 are the values of the word eclipse. And this is because an eclipse occurs once every 1, 5, or 6 lunar phases. Now notice the Gematria of Julie Chrisley. She's got the same numbers, 156, 195, and 78. The only number she doesn't share is 57, but the first name, Julie, equals 57, also 78, just like South Carolina. Now, the 57 and 21 here are rather significant. These are the values of the word moon, which, of course, covers the sun during a total solar eclipse. And how interesting is this? Todd and Julie Chrisley, using the standard alphabetic order, have a value of 218. And if you caught my video on Jeffrey Epstein that I just did, you may have seen that the word moon in Hebrew sums to 218. Furthermore, in reverse, Todd and Julie Chrisley equals 322. A lot of us call this the skull and bones number. Certainly more significant than just that society. But if you reverse the number 322, you get the number 223. This is the Hebrew Gematria of the moon, which refers to the one that orbits the earth. Now in Jewish Gematria, the moon sums to 283. The television show Chrisley Knows Best, which this couple is known for, debuted on the date March 11th, 2014. And if you measure from that date to the date of this indictment, it was exactly 283 weeks later. The moon, again, 283. Now think about the moon in reverse, summing to 99. The moon, which begins with the 13th letter and ends with the 13th letter in reverse, has 13 lunar phases, 7 out of 19 years. And 13, the only number to sum to 99 in ordinal. And check it out, 13, 99, 45, 117, and 45. This is the same as the name Chrisley. 99, 45, 117, and 45. So we'll talk more about this 283 below as we get into the real deep parts of this riddle. Julie Chrisley was born on January 9th, which means that on the date of this year's total solar eclipse, she was 5 months and 23 days after her birthday. This ties directly into her name Gematria. Notice how 523 is the 99th prime number. This total solar eclipse was the first coast-to-coast eclipse in America in 99 years. South Carolina, the state, was admitted to the Union on the date 5/23, or May 23rd. Also, there's a spin-off. This show, Chrisley Knows Best, there's a new show called Growing Up Chrisley. And if you measure from the date that Chrisley Knows Best premiered to the date that Growing Up Chrisley premiered, you get exactly a span of 5 years and 23 days. So the 99th prime number, 99 being the value of Chrisley, coded into this couple over and over and over again. We got a ways to go, though. Talking about this crucifixion code, of course, who was crucified on the cross in the Bible? This would be Jesus. Jesus had an ordinal value of 74, just like cross, just like gospel. The word Messiah, 74 as well. If you measure from Julie Chrisley's birthday, January 9th of 19, notice she's got two 19s here, measuring from that date to the date of the indictment gives us exactly 7 months and 4 days. This is appropriate for their television show, Chrisley Knows Best, which equals 74. And the indictment was for tax evasion charges, which sums to 74. This 74, when we crack open Jewish Gematria, we learn a little bit more about this number. The phrase total solar eclipse equals 74 and 704 in Jewish Gematria. But notice the Jewish ordinal value when we drop this cipher to a 1 through 27 base. Here we find the number 191. In the alphabetic order, tax evasion charges equals 191. And this is a prime number, the 43rd prime number, 191. In reduction, the name Jesus Christ equals 43. Interestingly enough, so does the name Todd. Of course, Todd, the husband here in the couple. And this event occurred a span of 43 days after this year's total solar eclipse. And that's if you include the end date. If you don't include the end date, today is 43 days after the eclipse. And if CNN still has the same front page, you'll see that the Chrisleys are on the front page still. Here they are. Yeah, they had their picture with their smiling faces earlier, but no more. Of course, the name Todd Chrisley, also 142. Eclipse Sacrifice 142. This is also the Gematria of 42, and the New Testament begins with the 42 generations to Jesus. The word eclipse also 42, with the S exception. Now, the 13th was also 1 month and 11 days after the total solar eclipse. The word indictment equals 111. Next, we'll dive a little bit into the kill and sacrifice code. Very prevalent here as well. The phrase tax evasion equals 59 in reverse reduction. And 59 is a prime number. That would be the 17th prime number. Now, this connection is very important because the word kill sums to 17 and 59. And on the date of these charges, Julie was exactly 17,017 days old. As for her January 9th birthday, this stands out because 19 is the Hebrew value of the word kill. Kill also equals 46 in Hebrew reduction, also the value of murder in the same cipher. Notice how breast cancer sums to 109 and 46. Julie Chrisley, known for being a survivor of breast cancer. Her age is currently 46 years old. She was born in the year 73. The word sacrifice summing to 46 and 73. Also, tax evasion and fraud has this 73 gematria. As for her husband, check out his birthday, April 6th, the date written 4/6. Julie currently 46 years old. Notice how tax evasion and fraud equals 199. This is also a prime number. Check it out, the 46th prime number. In the same alphabetic order, Todd and Julie Chrisley equals 199. So whenever we're talking about the crucifixion and eclipses, we're talking about circles. An eclipse is an intersection of the two largest circles in the sky. Circles equals 69, 33, and 120. So does the word eclipse. As mentioned earlier, Chrisley equals 45 in both reduction methods. This is the ordinal value of the word tax, 45. However, tax evasion gives us a value of 130. Todd Chrisley was born on April 6th, which means their indictment fell a span of 130 days after his birthday. Today, when they made mainstream news, he's, again, 130 days after his birthday. This indictment also falls exactly 19 weeks after the premiere of the other spin-off show, Growing Up Chrisley. And remember, Julie's birthday is January 9th, or 1/9. And when we write out the number 19, it also has this value of 130. And 130 is very important. It's very tied into this circle code. 130 is the first number in the alphabetic order to have a value of 227. Remember, 22 divided by 7 gives you the first three digits of pi, 3.14. And this works in Gematria as well. 22 divided by 7, summing to 314. Isn't it interesting that eclipse crucifixion code has a value of 227 in the alphabetic order and 119 in reduction? Todd and Julie equals 119. Their show is named Chrisley Knows Best, which sums to 227. 227, the Hebrew value of total eclipse. Also noticed how Chrisley Knows Best equals 1902? Look at the word eclipse. 192. Now again, eclipse 69, circles 69, the word pi in Jewish Gematria 69. So it's kind of interesting here that 3.14 equals 98 and 82. Todd and Julie Chrisley equals 98 and 82. All right, so for those of you who are still following along with this video, first of all, congratulations for getting through all these numbers. But you're going to get rewarded with some really cool, deep riddles here that I think I'm picking up on. And I knew there was something to this. I typed in Todd and Julie Chrisley and found how this, matches tax evasion and fraud in the alphabetic order. But I also noticed a really interesting alignment with our two large number ciphers, both English Extended and Jewish Gematria. Notice how in English Extended, these names sum to 1567, which is a prime number, this being the 247th prime number. Well, in Jewish Gematria, their names sum to 2,407. Well, 247, perhaps, connected to the crucifixion code, 247. And these numbers are interesting. You have a 158. Remember, we believe it's Freemasonry, 158, that's operating by this crucifixion code. Now, in Greek isopsophy, the phrase total eclipse of the sun, or total solar eclipse, has an ordinal value of 260. And I know this is significant. I've talked about this in videos in the past. Remember, eclipse equals 192? 192 equals 260. Also notice how this sums to 2080. Well, in Hebrew, total solar eclipse equals 280. So this coding runs very deep. There are many layers to it. But I've always known that this 260 is, means something. Todd and Julie Chrisley in the reverse alphabetic order, which already had this prime number relationship here, sums to 260 in reverse. The number 260, when spelled out, has an English value of 2,830. Recall how their show debuted exactly 283 weeks and 0 days before the indictment. Now, there's another very interesting alignment here. 260 in the alphabetic order equals 229. In Jewish Gematria, which does not need to have the same numerology as the ordinal cipher, this sums to 2,290. So it's essentially the same number, just with a 0 behind it, and the 0 means nothing in numerology. Now, the state of South Carolina, where Julie and Todd Chrisley are from, again, this was the state where the 2017 Great American Eclipse left the nation. South Carolina was admitted on the date May 23rd, 1788, which means that on the date of the eclipse that went through the state, it was exactly 229 years, 2 months, and 29 days old. So you had the number 229 coded in here twice. To make this more interesting, this is a prime number, the 59th prime number. Circle equals 50. America equals 50. And Todd Chrisley, who was born in 1969, is 50 years old. And I guess I'll look at this one too. Here you have Henry McMaster. This guy's the governor of South Carolina. And you got to love this. In my work, I talk about 1331 being the ultimate solar eclipse number. And this post speaks for itself. This unlocks the mystery behind the number 1331 and the origins of the eclipse code. Now, if you're a subscriber to the belief that the Masons are using the rule of Kollel, which is a Kabbalistic rule that states one digit can be added to or subtracted from the gematria value of a word without affecting its value, then here you have the number 1331. We're just one off, right? It's pretty interesting. This guy was the governor of South Carolina during the Great American Eclipse. Ah, yes. This makes sense. He was in office. The eclipse was his 210th day in office. The word moon equals 210. If you don't include the end date, it was 209 days. And that's interesting because solar eclipse equals 209 in Hebrew Gematria. Anyway, if you measure from the date he took office to the date of the indictment of the Chrisleys, notice how it was a span of 133 weeks and 1 day. You get that eclipse number. So it just makes sense that there would be a massive eclipse crucifixion code ritual in the mainstream media on that very date. It's coordinated so well, makes me wonder who's behind it. All right, guys, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Sorry, I had a little coughing fit out of nowhere. Had to mute my microphone. Again, this content is facing censorship. YouTube's deleted my channel. Don't let them get away with it again. Share this work with your intellectual friends. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. We'll talk to you soon. Adios.